Well, after a nice bounce back week after that terrible week 10, it's time for my week 12 2016 NFL picks. And since tomorrow's Thanksgiving, the games are going to be quite early this time and see my history when it comes to uploading videos. I probably would not make the picks in time before Vikings and Lions, so I decided to upload them today on Wednesday. So last week I was 10-4, a nice bounce back. So I think I've gone 8 weeks with a win record out of the 11, so that's been not bad. And a win percentage of almost 60%. I'm still quite disappointed I didn't catch up from that terrible finish last week. Hopefully I'll continue it this week to get back into 600. And of course in the playoffs, it's now changed. Now we've got the Raiders with the number one spot with the Patriots, the second spot in the AFC. But the remains the same pretty much everywhere else in the AFC. And that's the Broncos going to the Texans and the Chiefs going to the Ravens. In the NFC, it remains exactly the same. Cowboys and Seahawks with the byes. The Redskins going to the Falcons. And the Giants going to the Lions. And my Super Bowl pick remains the same from last week. The Patriots beating the Seahawks. So now let's get to my Week 12 picks with Thanksgiving tomorrow. So first, we'll start with the first Thanksgiving game. And that's the Vikings going to the Lions. The first time Vikings played Thanksgiving since 2000, I believe. So, who would have thought this game would come down, would have the NFC North on the line? I never would have thought that. I thought the Packers were going to easily have this division almost won by this point, with the Vikings and Lions fighting for like maybe second or third place. So, boy, I mean, the Lions did beat them in overtime a couple weeks ago in Minneapolis, but I got a feeling this is going to be a trap game for the Lions. I mean, they've been back and forth like the last bunch of years, like really close. I mean, the Lions swept the Vikings in 2014. Then the Vikings swept them last year. And honestly, seeing how the Lions have been performing, I wouldn't be surprised, and I think the Vikings will win 24-21, which is going to be so sad for the Lions because the schedule looks a lot better for them than it does for the Vikings to win the NFC North. But that's why I got to say the Vikings will probably win it. Although I wouldn't be surprised, too, if the Lions win. Although I don't trust them as much as I trust the Vikings. And it's the Redskins going to the Cowboys. Funny thing, the last time Redskins played Thanksgiving 2012, that was also against the Cowboys. So how funny it's so soon again. That's bullshit. But man, the Cowboys are still 9-1. Their first win since 2014. Redskins are still right behind. And just like with Vikings and Lions, this could be a trap game too for the Cowboys. Because since mid-2013, between this rivalry, whoever's the away team wins. I mean, look at the last 4 years in a row, the Cowboys have beaten the Redskins in FedEx Field. In the last 2 years, the Redskins have beaten the Cowboys in AT&T Stadium. So history is more kind to the Redskins in this aspect that they should be able to win. And I wouldn't be surprised if they win. But that third-ranked defense, Ezekiel Elliott's still a beast, and Dak Prescott is still being very impressive. I think the Cowboys will win at 27-17. Then we get to the final Thanksgiving game, which is the Steelers going to the Colts. Steelers' first time on Thanksgiving since 2013. I think this is the Colts' first Thanksgiving game since 2007. Oh boy, I can't believe they actually picked this game for Thanksgiving after the trouncing the Steelers gave the Colts the last 2 years. So I don't know why putting in Indianapolis would make it any different. But I think it's going to be high scoring as hell. And who would have thought the Colts, actually, I did think the Colts were going to be in still. Steelers, I thought were going to have run away with the number one seed still at the moment. But either way, even though it's at Lucas Oil Stadium, the Colts are still struggling. The Steelers have been struggling a little bit, although they had that nice bounce-back game against the Browns. I think the Steelers will once again destroy the Colts, but probably be a lot close this time, 41-30. Right, now that we got that out of the way for Thanksgiving games, now we get to the Sunday afternoon games, starting off with the 1 p.m. games. And first up would be the Cardinals going to the Falcons for the first time since 2014. And historically, the Cardinals have struggled when they go to the Falcons. And the way they've been playing this year, that probably will happen again. So the Falcons would win 30-17. And then it's the Bengals going to the Ravens. And, oh boy, the Bengals are pretty much done for. The Ravens are still in it, though, so you can't not trust them. I mean, they still have that number one ranked rush defense, too, so that's going to really help them. I think they have the 7th best pass defense, too. So, oh boy, it's kind of reminding like the Broncos last year. A very strong defense, but that offense is so shit, it's holding them back big time. And, of course, the Ravens need to win this one, but the history's shown since the second meetup in 2013, the Bengals have beaten the Ravens every single time since. I think it's like 5-game winning streak against them. They swept them 2 years in a row now. So the Ravens gotta win against the Bengals here. And something keeps telling me that the Bengals will win it. But I'm going to trust the Ravens on this one, 17-12. But yeah, just watch. The Bengals will go in there and destroy the Ravens like they've done the last 2 years. And then it's the Jaguars going to the Bills for the first time since 2012. Well, they did play each other last year in London with Jaguars being the home team for that one. They went down to the wire for that one. And oh boy, I don't know what to say. The Jaguars, Blake Bortles has been doing a little bit better these last bunch of weeks. And I don't know what to say about the Bills. They're so inconsistent. Tyrod Taylor has not been as good as he was last year. And that rest of the team, Shady McCoy seems to not recover from that injury yet still. But since the Bills are the home team, and they got a lot more to fight with this year than the Jaguars do, since they're pretty much done for, I think the Bills would win 27-23 and give the Jaguars I think it was the 6th straight losing season or something like that. And then it's the Titans going to the Bears for the first time since 2008. Oh boy, what an incredible difference from 4 years ago when the Bears went to the Titans and absolutely demolished them. I remember that game. That was incredible. Oh boy, the Bears, I think, are the second worst team in the NFC, right behind the 49ers. And wow, even though the Titans are 5-6, they're still right there. Everyone on the NFL media keeps denying that the Titans are real. You shouldn't, because they are fucking legit. And if it wasn't for the fact that they've lost to the Texans already, and they've already lost to the Colts, I would think they would be a very big contender to win the AFC South this year. And I think they still might have a shot, although they got to catch up against the Texans. Oh boy, this is going to be close. Somebody keeps telling me that the Bears will win it too, but I think the Titans will win it 20-13, give the Bears their 3rd straight losing season too. And then it's the Giants going to the Browns for the first time since 2008. Gee, remember that Monday night thrashing the Browns gave them to knock off the Giants, their undefeated streak? And I know everyone's going to ridicule me for my pick last week against when I had the Browns beating the Steelers. It's true, but history showed that the Browns had a good shot to beat the Steelers. And guess what else? The history has shown when the Giants played the Browns that it's going right down to the wire for all 3 matchups since 2004. With the last time the Giants going to the Browns, the Browns destroyed them. And I've said all year, even all the way back to the reveal the schedule, that this is going to be a trap game for the Giants, and a big one too. And I got a feeling, even though the Browns are still undefeated and still shitty, and the Giants have now won 5 in a row and look a lot better, something in the back of my head keeps telling me that this is going to be a trap game, and the Browns are going to finally get their first win, 21-14. I won't be surprised if the Giants win, but, this is just historical. It's like the last bunch of years with, the Steelers and the Giants and a couple other teams. They really good, but then they go against teams that they should easily win, and they just fucking lose. And it's the Chargers going to the Texans for the first time since 2010. And oh boy. Osweiler's actually played a lot better these last couple weeks. I remember the first half of the season, his QB rating was under 70. Now it's around 76, which is still bad, but a lot better than it was many weeks ago. Although the Texans have been playing a lot better, particularly when they're on the road. All the last 2 road games were close, and they actually fought hard to the end against a much better Raiders team? Wow, that was really impressive. And of course, the Chargers were at 4-6. Oh boy. History's shown that they played really good against the Texans, and I think they've beat them every single time they've gone to MGR Stadium in Houston. So the history would be kind to the Chargers, and I wouldn't be surprised if they win it, but I think the Texans will win at 26-23. And then, oh boy, this is going to be a bloodbath in Miami. The 49ers going to the Dolphins for the first time since 2008. Ooh, 1-9, the second to worst team in the league. Their first losing season since 2015. Was it 9 losses in a row now? Oh boy, that's going to continue down in Miami as the Dolphins win 30-7 and win 6 games in a row. It's the Rams going to the Saints for the first time since 2010. And oh boy, I bet the Saints are very happy that it's finally at their place for once, since the last bunch of years when they go to the Rams, they always get beaten pretty badly, even though the Rams teams back then were like really bad and the Saints teams were really good. I mean, for fuck's sake, in 2009 when the Saints went to the Super Bowl undefeated, they went to the 1-15 Rams and they only won by 5, and the Rams were there right there for it the entire game. But thankfully, it's at the Saints this time, and the Saints have a very good history the last bunch of years when they host the Rams. And I think that's going to continue, and the Saints will win 36-14. And, of course, Jared Goff, I didn't even know he was going to start last week till, like, that Friday. I guess it was, like, all of a sudden because I didn't know they were going to start him in my last week's video. Yeah, he didn't do good against the Rams, Dolphins. But, hey, the Dolphins have a much better defense than the Rams, Saints. So, Saints' terrible secondary, he might be doing a lot better. And who knows, maybe it'll be a shootout. But I don't trust him, nor do I trust that Rams team at all. And then we get to the 4 p.m. games, and we're going to start off with the Seahawks going to the Buccaneers for the first time since 2010. Oh boy, remember that close one in 2013 when the Buccaneers actually went into Seattle and almost beat them, for crying out loud? That was incredible. And Buccaneers, just like last year, back at 5-5. I mean, they're a game behind the Falcons, and they beat them once too, so that's a pretty good sign for them, but oh boy, I think I looked at the schedule, and the schedule I don't think is very kind to the Buccaneers the rest of the way. And I don't think it's kind to the Falcons either, but probably a lot less than it is to the Buccaneers. And the Seahawks gotta win to keep up with the Cowboys, and I think that is going to happen 27-20. But something tells me, I mean, if the Buccaneers can go to the Chiefs and beat them pretty good, I mean, what the hell stopped them from being able to beat the Seahawks at home, although they've been pretty shitty at home as well. I guess we'll have to wait and see, but I think the Seahawks will get it. Then we get to the original Sunday night game for the week until it was flexed out, and that was the Patriots going to the Jets. And, oh boy, I know I'm going to probably get shit on by every single one that says this, but, I mean, when you look at the history, it's quite obvious it's more kind of the Jets when they host the Patriots. I mean, fucking 2 years ago when the Patriots went to the Super Bowl and the Jets were fucking 4-12, that game went right down to the wire, for crying out loud. The Jets, when they host the Patriots, no matter how bad they are and how good the Patriots are, they do fight hard to beat them. And I think that is going to happen this year, just like I predicted last year when everyone laughed at me that the Jets were going to beat the Patriots, and I was right last year. I think that's going to happen again, and the Jets would win 23-20. And then there's the game that my boy Matthew mentioned to me a couple weeks ago, and that's the Panthers going to the Raiders for the first time since 2008. I mean, the Panthers have now 3-1 since. I think they have, like, the best pass defense, not the best, but one of the top 5 pass defenses in the league, which would be a very big asset against Derek Carr and the Raiders. But, of course, oh boy, the Panthers are still struggling. That team is still not really good in defense. They got a lot of work to do on that to fix that still. And, of course, the Raiders now won 4 in a row, and Derek Carr still looks like an unstoppable force, and the Raiders would win 32-24 to get their first win season since 2002. And then we get to the Sunday night game, and that's the Chiefs going to the Broncos. How funny, just like 3 years ago, the Chiefs and Broncos were flexed in the Sunday night, although I don't really like this one since the fact that they're going to play on Sunday night on Christmas, for crying out loud. And like I said last week about the Chiefs, yeah, they're 7-2, but how is that trustable when you can't even beat a Buccaneers team at home? How is that trustable when you barely beat a Jaguars team at home? How is that trustable when you can't even beat a Texans team? How is that trustable when you get destroyed by a Steelers team? I mean, they're a 7-3 team, yeah, but they're one of the very overrated 7-3 teams. Although the Broncos have gone 3-3, I believe it was, after that 4-0 start, they're still overall playing a lot better in my eyes than they were last year, particularly on offense. Oh my god, that offense was god-awful. And although I bet the Chiefs wish they had Peyton Manning to go up against so that way they get those 4 interceptions they had against them last year, and the main reason why they beat the Chiefs in Mile High last year. Although I don't think that's going to happen this year. I think it's going to be close, but I think the Broncos would get at 21-17. Then we get to the Monday night game, a game that I never thought should have been on Monday night, but it's starting to look like a better shot this time, and that's the Packers going to the Eagles for the first time since that wild card came in 2010. Remember that one? And oh boy, I mean, the Eagles are still in it. They actually did a pretty good job, I thought, in the end against the Seahawks. It's not like they gave up. They fought hard to the end. And oh boy, the Packers look like they're done for. I mean, they're 4-6. They're only 2 games behind the Packers, the Lions and Vikings. And if the better case for the Packers would be if the Lions win against the Vikings on Thanksgiving, since the Packers have already beaten the Lions, so they have a tiebreaker over them, and they could probably still catch up and maybe win the NFC North, although that's starting to look really unlikely. I mean, what the hell is wrong with them? They were 4-2. Now they've lost 4 in a row, and they got allowed 40-plus points on their ass. I mean, what the fuck is wrong with them? I mean, they still got like the 5th best rush defense in the league, and yet they allow that Redskins running back to get like 3 touchdowns or something like that on them. Oh, and they can't stop the pass either. Oh God. And of course, although I still got a feeling that the Packers are gonna beat the Eagles, the way they've been playing this last bunch of weeks, I think the Eagles will win 31-27. Those are my picks for Week 12. I can't wait for tomorrow for Thanksgiving to see the Vikings at Lions, Redskins at Cowboys, and Steelers at Colts. Can't wait for Week 12 as we get closer and closer and closer to finally getting teams going into the playoffs and shit. That's going to be really fun to think about. So see you then on Thanksgiving, because man, I got to wait another fucking day still before I watch the next game.